The Chiefs got some news on Rashee Rice, and it's bad for the rest of the NFL. Mike, let's talk about it.
You're listening to All Chiefed Up.
What's going on, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome in, welcome in. Hope you guys are doing well. Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about Rashee Rice. Mike, they got some news on Rashee Rice today. He was actually at practice. No knee brace, no nothing. Just out there doing the Lord's work, baby. What about that? What do you think about this bounce back for Rashee Rice?
Rashee Rice is back. Hey, they said he was last week. Patrick Mahomes said it. He said he was looking good. He was looking spry. He didn't have a brace. He looked quick. Everything about it just looked like Rashee Rice. And so we finally got to see that a little bit today. He was on the field. He was moving around. Here he is doing the ladder drill. He's cutting. That's some cuts
He's
right there.
starting week one,
good,
baby.
man.
He's starting week one.
Yeah,
No doubt about it.
I don't see how anybody barring a suspension from the league or some kind of a weird setback or like some weird swelling or just something happens in the preseason. Knock on wood, that's not going to happen. He's probably starting week one, man. He just looks very crisp. Just everything about him. Like he was having a good time today. He was wearing the shorts. He was showing the knees off to everybody.
Yeah, proudly.
Right?
Like,
He
look at
wasn't
this
hiding
knee.
nothing.
Yeah, Rashee Marquand Rice, if you didn't know his middle name. He's ready to roll, baby.
Marquand.
And let's talk about that being bad news for the rest of the NFL, Mike, because let's get this straight. Rashee Rice, through 3 weeks, he only played 3 games last year. Through 3 weeks, he was killing it, dude. He was maybe the number one receiver in the entire NFL. He had 288 yards and 2 touchdowns in 3 games.
Receiver.
Right. So, I mean, just put that into perspective. I know they only play 17 weeks out of the 18, but you just say 6 times that, and that's going to be roughly what he would have had if he had gone at that same pace all season. So you're looking at 1,800 receiving yards and 12 touchdowns if he stayed on the same pace, which is astronomical numbers. So, I mean, that would have been freaking awesome. Now, I doubt he would have kept that same pace the entire season. Who knows? Might have set out the last game of the season with everybody else. But my point is, we have a healthy Rashee Rice. He don't get suspended. There's no setbacks with the knee, and he's raring to go on week one. It could be a monster season for him. And the Chiefs having a reliable number one receiver putting up that kind of stats, that's scary for other teams, man, because the Chiefs haven't had that in a long time. Since Tyreek Hill, probably.
He led the league in receiving yards, I believe, through 3 or 4 weeks, whatever it was. Maybe in receptions. He was right up there in receptions, too. I'm not 100% for sure, so I just don't want to say that. But, yeah, he led the league in a few things. He was right there, top 2, top 3 wide receiver for sure. He may have been number 1 across the board on certain things. So, him and Pat developed like this little bit of a chemistry last year that just picked up right from the Super Bowl the previous year. And remember that in the Super Bowl where he had the little blow up, like, hey, I'm open, blah, blah, blah. And everybody's like, oh, they're going to have this little tiff back and forth. Didn't really happen. The offseason came around. Those two got together, worked out something amazing. Him and Mahomes had what we thought Kelsey and Mahomes were going to have last year through 3 or 4 games, and that just didn't happen. And then, of course, like you said, when Mahomes thought it was too easy and just decided to take him out for the season, the offense struggled. It struggled, and it was already like down a little bit because of Hollywood Brown being injured against the Jaguars in the preseason. So I think with those two guys coming back healthy, and they were both there today, so I just think with them coming back, being healthy, and getting everything like prioritized and getting our offense back into I think the offense is going to get back into something that's fun to watch here, hopefully. It better not be this thing, Steve, because we see this every year. They sling it around all preseason. They sling it around in camp and get everybody horned up to level 47, and then they come out and Andy Reid dinks and dunks and does dumb stuff for just weeks and weeks and weeks. And we're like, what just happened? Like, they horn up the crew so hard to come out and just about disappoint.
Right. Well, like you said, this receiving core should be much better than last year if everybody can stay healthy. And here in a minute, I want to talk about what you think Rashee Rice could have accomplished if Hollywood Brown had been playing. So you have to think both of them together only played, 5 games all season, not counting the playoffs.
Nothing together.
That's what I'm saying. They didn't play together at all, so I wonder how that could have affected the production of Rashee Rice if Hollywood Brown would have been available in week 1. We'll talk about that in a minute. But one thing I do want to bring up, we're talking about the receiving core. Matt Derrick reported that Jalen Royals left practice today with an injury, but there was no word on how severe it was or anything like that. Mike, don't really know much about it, but I would try to be optimistic about that because we know that Jalen Royals missed a lot of his last year of college with a right foot injury, if I'm not mistaken. So it could be any little thing. They're probably being a little bit cautious with Jalen Royals because he's still coming off an injury as well. We have a lot of guys that are coming off injuries, especially these young guys, Josh Simmons, Jalen Royals. There's a few of them that had some injuries, Omar Norman Lott. So I think that's definitely something that we're going to see a lot of probably throughout the offseason here when they get into more team activities. I'm sure you'll see them being a little bit cautious with some of these young guys, right?
Yeah, I don't know the extent of the Royals thing. I don't think, like you just said, I think it's pretty much precautionary. I don't think it was nothing serious. Maybe he tweaked the hammy. Maybe he was just having some tightness, maybe some soreness. They're just not going to push these guys right now. They're just now getting back into it. They're going to do this for a few weeks, and then they're going to take a nice 2, 3, 4 week vacation right before camp. So they're not wanting to overextend themselves. They're just going out there and doing what they do and 7-on-7s and all that. But Steve, Rashee Rice was the big story. Like you said, Jalen Royals, the injury, kind of a decent story. But there was a couple other offensive players today that had themselves a day. One was the UDFA tight end, Jake Brenningstool. He made what Matt McMullen called play of the day. He had this leaping catch up the seam. He was being guarded. I think it was Nick Bolton was on him. And Mahomes just placed it perfectly. Brenningstool went up, brought it down. It was a beautiful play. There was another tight end. It was pretty much Robert Tonyan day out there, apparently. He got targeted on so many passes from every quarterback. So it wasn't just Mahomes, but Minshew did it. Just everybody out there slinging it around was going to Robert Tonyan. And then Jimmy Holiday, Steve. UDFA Jimmy Holiday. He had a nice over-the-shoulder grab during a 7-on-7 period. So there were some other guys out there today. The wide receiver core is looking pretty good front to back. Of course, the Jimmy Holidays of the world, all these guys like this, those guys are very, very long shots to make the roster. But it's nice to know that those guys are in there and they're showing out and they're putting pressure on some of these guys because, again, it takes this kind of competition to make your players better.
Absolutely, man. And here's the thing about Jake Brenningstool. Like, I think you're going to see more of that this offseason. I don't know if it'll translate to a roster spot, but that's kind of how he plays football. Mike, I loved his tape. When we did all the draft stuff, I think I had him at number 9 on my tight ends. Could have maybe even put him a little bit higher. He ended up not getting drafted. Chiefs get him as UDFA. But this is a guy that can make plays like that. He was always doing it in college. He was a big part of their offense. And I think that he could be something. If he were to make this roster, I think he could contribute early on because he just is a playmaker. And, yeah, it's good to see all the pass catchers out there doing their thing, Mike. It's good to have a healthy team, and there's going to be a lot of healthy competition in camp because, like you mentioned with Holiday, there's also Mac Delana out there that can run a 4.3. He's just blowing the socks off people.
Yeah.
Very sure hands. That's a guy that's pretty reliable. There's a lot of different guys. Nico's going to be fighting for a spot. You got Tyquan Thornton they're talking about fighting for a spot. Sky Moore, Justin Ross. I mean, it's on and on and on. There's going to be a lot of good competition, man. So I think you guys, y'all need to buckle in. You need that subscribe button if you haven't yet because we got a lot of camp stuff to cover this season. It's going to be a fun camp, I think, to see how this roster actually shapes up.
Steve, this is year 2 of Xavier Worthy. I think we're going to see bigger things from him as well.
For sure.
Getting Hollywood back, getting Rice back more healthy, and getting in and acclimated, getting this whole offense together is going to help Travis Kelce, is going to help Xavier Worthy. Dave Tope come out today and says Xavier Worthy may be the biggest hidden surprise for special team. He may be the best special team return man that nobody's seen yet, was kind of what he said. So
yeah.
Everybody's talking up everybody right now.
I don't know about that, though.
This is the time of the year, though, right, that everybody is horn level a billion. Can we take it back to maybe 1 year ago? Everybody was so fired up. Peniles were exploding all over the place. I mean, I'm talking like everywhere over a guy
rugby
that played
player.
rugby. Yeah. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, it's so funny because there's actually someone that left a comment on one of our shorts about one of the UDFAs, and he was like, why do you keep trying to hype everybody up about these UDFAs? They're never going to do anything, just like LRZ. And it was like, that's the thing about it. It's like, someone else left a comment on there and was like, I think this was the only channel that was telling us that guy wasn't going to make the roster because he wasn't a football player. And that's the truth. Like, we were very, like, real about LRZ. Like, we said from the get-go, the chance of him making the team was tiny. The dude never even played football before. So, I mean, I think the writing was on the wall before he even got started. It was kind of a little media hype thing. And I just think that was never going to happen. And that's the thing. A lot of these UDFAs have a long shot. But just telling you guys who they are and what they accomplished in college
And giving you
is not
5 facts.
right. I mean, it's not
dude
necessarily
argued
hyping you up.
facts.
It's not to hype you up and make you think they're the greatest thing ever. They're Jerry Rice. It's to let you know what they're about and what they can do. And it's nice to have guys like that on the team fighting for a spot.
It's also bringing to light their accomplishments. It's a big thing for those guys to go through school and to do the stuff they do and then to not get a shot with the draft, but be able to come in and compete on not just an NFL team, but I'm talking like a dynasty Chiefs roster. Do you know how good you have to feel about yourself if you're like a Mac Delana? I think that may have been the one everybody was crying about. Well, he's a 4.36, but I want to see how fast he is on the field, man. That's what he runs in his shorts. Oh, that's how they do all the timing at the combine, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
I didn't see one guy running in pads out there.
Yeah, Xavier Worthy ran a 4.22
Right.
after he lost weight.
So
and was running in shorts.
Yeah, you've got to feel good about yourself if you're Mac Delaney or somebody. That Brett Veach, the same guy that found Patrick Mahomes, said, hey, we're going to bring you in and give you a shot here. That's kind of cool. And we celebrate that by giving you guys these little shorts and these meet and greets for these players, basically. And I don't know, like if y'all want to talk crap about it, go for it. But I think these guys deserve their limelight a little bit.
Give them their 5 minutes, man, even if they don't make the roster. Old man in the house, Pop with the 5 gifted memberships. Appreciate you, old man. Happy anniversary, by the way. Pops is on a trip for his anniversary.
Pops.
15 freaking years. What about that?
Yeah. Pops is, I don't know what Pops is doing.
I don't know either.
There
He
ain't
ate
no
some
telling
barbecue.
what Pop's doing.
He ate some barbecue because
Yeah,
he
he was
sent me a
eating
picture.
barbecue complaining about how it wasn't as good as Jack Stack. I'm like, Pops, what are you
is
doing?
this?
Like, your problem here was going in thinking it may have been as good as Jack Stack. That was where you went wrong first.
That's where
Lower
you
your
messed up.
expectations there, Pops.
Yeah, appreciate it, old man. If you guys got one of those memberships, make sure to thank Pops in the chat. And yeah, man, I just think overall, K. Wayne always hits the nail on the head when we're talking about these kind of subjects. It's just raising the floor, and it's making it very competitive, because that's how you make a better roster, is you have healthy, great, tough camp competition, and that's what's going to happen this offseason. I think we're going to see that in the running back room. We're going to see it in the wide receiver room, the cornerback room, even on the defensive line. So I think it's going to be pretty awesome, dude. It should be a really fun camp, and I can't wait to see what happens on the offensive line as well. I missed that one. That's one of the biggest ones. So I think it's going to be a lot to keep up with at camp. So like I said, hit that subscribe button, hang out with us. We'll keep you updated. I can't wait for all that to get started, man, because it's been a very, very slow off season with no football, and it's been nice just to see them back out there during OTAs, getting some reps in.
It kind of sucks we're only getting to see some camp footage and hearing from the coaches at the final practice of the week. Like, I wish it could be an everyday thing so we kind of can stay updated daily. Of course, they only go 3 days a week, and I think they've only got involuntary 2, maybe 3 more sessions, and then they have a mandatory session in which everybody has to come in, and that's going to be here at the end of June, and then they're going to take their break probably until mid-July, 3rd week of July, and they're going to go to camp. They'll be up in St. Joe.
Right.
So it's going to go fast. It's going to be quick. But, man, it's fun watching the OTAs, like you said, getting some football back out there and getting everything going. And apparently everybody was out there today. I think, I don't think, like, Kelsey practiced maybe. He may have been one that didn't practice today. Somebody didn't practice today, but it wasn't nothing, like, insane. Like, here it is.
The usual?
Matt Derrick. He said there was no sign of Kelsey, Trey Smith, Hollywood, Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, Juju Smith-Schuster, Jalen Moore, and Jared Wiley is in attendance but not practicing. So, okay, Trey Smith, Travis Kelce, Hollywood, Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, and Juju all wasn't there today. Nobody knows why. We didn't get an explanation. Who knows? Who
Right, well, it's
cares?
voluntary.
It was voluntary. Jalen Moore's one. Why is he not practicing? I wish we could figure that out, because he is going to lose this job to Josh Simmons if he's not careful. Josh Simmons took part in the team period. So he's back. He's ahead of schedule, and he's practicing. What is Jalen Moore doing?
Right.
You better
it's a
have
good
something.
question.
Yeah, you better really have an
You would
element
think you would
here.
think going to a new team, learning a new scheme, learning everything that you need to learn, and fighting for a starting left tackle spot, you might want to get a head start on that. But I mean, then again, it's whatever.
He could really have an injury. There really could be something there. Maybe he tweaked something. I don't know. Maybe he's sick. Maybe his dog passed away. I don't know. But I think if it was anything less than having a stick sticking out of your hamstring, I think you probably need to be out there if you're going to be fighting it out with a rookie here.
I would think so. Pops, also a member for 19 months now, says our practice squad will be plundered this year. I agree with that. I think that the floor of our team is pretty high. I think there's a lot of guys that are not going to make the squad that are good players. So I wouldn't doubt that at all if we don't see a couple players getting poached.
Is this the year we throw Justin Ross on the practice squad and he goes? Or has he been on the practice squad enough times that nobody's really going to touch him? Like, they've had their shot here.
That's a good question. And also, if you were to put Sky Moore on a practice squad, do you think someone goes ahead and grabs him? Just off of, hey, it's a second-round pick, and we might be able to get something out of him. That's kind of like a Brett Veach move there, right? Like, let's go get this kid and see if we can get his career going.
I think Tyquan Thornton, to be honest, right now, I would say he's a practice squad guy. I know he's trending up, but you're still doing it without the pads on. We haven't seen him in any, like, he's got to prove to me on the field. And I still think Sky Moore's ahead of Tyquan Thornton in the coaches' minds. Like, you better believe that. I guarantee Andy Reid's got Sky Moore ahead of Tyquan Thornton in his head because they love Sky Moore. He knows that playbook, apparently.
Right.
He knows the playbook. He just don't know how to catch it once it gets open.
Yeah, well, I don't know. We'll see how that all goes. That's something we're not going to talk about tonight. Is the possibility of him?
Oh, you know, people
making
asking.
the roster. We ain't going to talk about that today. We're just gonna skip that.
I
think that one's played out. Our boy Shane with the 2 bombs says happy 15-year anniversary, Mr. Williams. It's freaking awesome. Appreciate you, Shane. I'm sure the old man appreciates that.
Man, Shane let me know that he bought Rachel, his fiance, some chocolates, and his dog got into them and ate them all, and they had to rush it to the vet. But it's fine and everything. But that was a wild story. He let me know that one. Man, that's a tough one. I would have probably been panicking. Like, if Stell would have got into some chocolate and ate an entire box of chocolate, I'd have probably panicked.
Dude, I mean, think about our house on Halloween, like with all that candy laying around from the kids. I know them dogs ate a lot of chocolate. They'll be all right. He'll be okay.
They were feeding it chocolate on the rig.
They're. I think they're a big fan of Reese's.
God,
that's just what I think. I don't know for sure. But yeah, man, super excited about what's going on this offseason. Just super pumped for the team. If y'all saw the short I put out earlier, there was actually another slap note that came along, which really, I mean, normally he has pretty good takes on the Chiefs. He agrees that Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league by far. He always puts Chris Jones up at the top. He used to work for PFF, so he kind of knows the numbers and things like that. But it's Sam Monson. I think he's with the 33rd team now, and they did an article on Sports Illustrated, and he said this was the worst Patrick Mahomes roster by far. That this was no doubt the worst roster Patrick Mahomes has ever had in 2025. And that kind of blew my mind, man. And I, of course I made fun of him a little bit and ribbed at him on the short because that's what I do. But in all honesty, I don't know where he's coming from with it. I really don't. And I don't know if it's because he thought they were weak last year and then they lost, Joe Thuney. They lost Justin Reed, a couple of guys like that. I don't know where he's coming from because to me, I think it's fairly obvious that there's a lot of good young players and a lot of talent, and there's going to be a lot of good camp battles for people to make this roster. I think this team could actually be much, much better than they were last season. I mean, you're going to get Hollywood back and Rashee Rice back, both that were out injured all season for the most part. They both played a few games, and like you said, never together. So I just don't see how you can say this is the worst Patrick Mahomes roster. If you go back to in 2018, Mike, when he put up all those astronomical numbers and went to the AFC Championship game, lost in overtime to the Patriots because of a D Ford and a few bad calls. That defense was the 31st ranked defense in the league.
And his receivers, he was literally throwing the ball to
DeMarcus Robinson, Now, of course. Yeah,
and Albert Wilson. Was it Albert Wilson?
Yeah. So, I mean,
Byron Pringle was on that roster. There's still people to this day want Byron Pringle back on this team.
I don't know, man, but I just don't see it. And I don't think a lot of people in the comments did either. Y'all let us know in the chat, but I don't know how you could look at this roster, especially with the young talent that they've acquired, and even some of the offseason acquisitions like Jalen Moore. I think with Jalen Moore and the fact that you were able to get potentially the best left tackle in the draft at pick 32, I think that's the best you're going to do at that left tackle position. I think that's almost an improvement. It has to be. We'll see.
Yeah, Steve, I think people have unrealistic expectations of what Veach could have done. Like, I think they see that in Madden, you can just force somebody to trade yourself a left tackle. And you've seen the Texans trade Laramie Tunsil. You've seen that happen, and they just think that, well, the Chiefs should have done that. The Chiefs could have done that. Do we honestly think the Texans would have traded the Chiefs Laramie Tunsil?
Absolutely not.
And if so, it would have been for multiple number ones. And Laramie Tunsil's what, 30, 31 years old? Right. It's just, I think it's a little ridiculous. Like, he had to address the tackle position in free agency. Jalen Moore was the best. I mean, they may have overpaid him a little bit. Who knows? Brett Veach and them always jumped the gun a little bit.
You didn't know that you were going to get Josh Simmons at
That's why you had
32.
To do it.
So, I mean, you had to do that. So, I think he did exactly what he needed to do there. Shout out Lil Cam for becoming a member. Welcome to the ACU crew, my man. Appreciate you. Thanks for joining. And, yeah, they went and got Christian Fulton. So, I mean, they kind of had an issue.
Christian Fulton was a great pickup, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I mean, what was one of the glaring issues last year? Najee Johnson?
Yeah, CB2.
Chamari Connor getting cooked. I mean, that was a thing. It was a theme throughout the entire season. And not only were they able to figure out the left tackle position somewhat and get really lucky with how Simmons fell in the draft, but they also addressed that. And then the defensive line. That's something that you've been kind of on for over the last year and a half, probably.
For sure.
They have to do something about this, right? Well, they're trying to do something about it. I mean, they got Charles Omenihu back after he figured out no one wanted to pay him astronomical salary. And then also drafted Omar Norman Lott, Ashton Gelati. I mean, I think they're putting their eggs in the right baskets. It's just really going to depend on how everything plays out. But I really do think this is an improved roster from last year. And I think last year was an improved roster from the year before that, to be quite honest about it. When we're talking about a wide receiver core that included MVS and Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore, I don't know how we didn't just keep going up. So I don't know. I just thought that was crazy. I thought I'd bring that up. And just a simple fact that you're going to have back Rashee Rice and Hollywood Brown healthy alone kind of just – I don't know how anyone could go the route that this is the worst roster. I don't know.
Yeah, that one's kind of perplexing. I think you could look at maybe like if you want to nitpick, you can look at Kelsey. Like, he just didn't look good last year, but he's come back and he looks healthy. He looks more focused. He's slimmer. But Father Time is still undefeated. I get that. So maybe they see that you didn't really go out and get a big-time tight end, and they don't think Noah Gray's, like, good or whatever. Maybe they don't think, Juju at wide receiver 4 was an upgrade, or we didn't go out and wasn't aggressive enough with the, left guard position. Like, they forget Kingsley. They forget, all the guys we got on the roster that can play the left guard position. Like, do you remember how many times they were mocking a left guard to us in the first round just because we traded Joe Tooney? And that was ridiculous. Maybe they didn't think we was aggressive enough going and getting a running back, and Pacheco's just doesn't have the vision or whatever it is. Like, there's going to be that. They think Norman Lott is he doesn't. He's just a rotational guy at Tennessee.
Bro.
Well, surprise, surprise. Spags come out today and said, yeah, we rotate defensive tackles.
Did you hear what Joe Cullen had to say about him?
Who?
I mean, Norman Lott. The kid's
he probably said
good.
the same things I did because I actually watched the film. I like the guy. Surprise, surprise, defensive tackles rotate. You don't have guys like Chris Jones that play 90% of the snaps. And I'm going to say this. Chris Jones probably only played 75% of the snaps last year. He's going to rotate too.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's a good thing, right?
It's a great thing.
How many times do you see Chris Jones just looking completely gassed because he's playing too many snaps? This might be a situation where we can have him more fresh, honestly, with the guys that we're able – because we also got Jerry Tillery. I didn't even bring him up.
With Ashton Gelati out there on the edge and hopefully Felix emerging better in year 3, maybe Chris Jones doesn't have to rush from the outside so many times just to get pressure.
Yeah.
Like, maybe you don't have to do that.
I'm still okay with that. I'm still okay with that.
You can do it, but you don't have to do it every single third down now. Like, we might have some pass rushers coming off the edge, except, because it was just George Karlaftis. That's all we
Right.
really had. Mike Dana really don't give you that. No Minihew's never on the field. So hopefully these guys will be healthy and get out there and do this year.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out Peter Ortiz, been a member for 7 months now, and he's sharing the love, baby. 5 gifted memberships. Way to roll in, Peter Ortiz. Good to see you, buddy. Appreciate the support, my man. If you get one of those memberships, make sure to thank Peter in the chat. You're a freaking legend, brother. John Hale, been a member for 10 months now, says, is it me or has the Chiefs stacked players for 90% of both lines and backfield? Plus, I have something for you, too. I don't know where to send. So, real quick, if you want to send us something, John, just go to any video. Maybe not this live stream because it's probably not on there yet. But go to any video's description, and there'll be a P.O. box, and you can send it there. So we appreciate that, by the way. But yeah, man, the Chiefs, I think they've kind of dedicated themselves to the trenches a little bit, and I think they've been doing that. If you go back and look at, the draft capital they've invested in offensive line over the last 4 years.
Yeah.
Granted, they never really hit, but I think they're just trying to get better in the trenches. You have the best quarterback potentially to ever play football, right? Like, I'm going to say that over and over again. Of course, there's always going to be the Tom Brady homers come out of the woodwork, and the Josh Allen homers.
Thomas Brady,
Right.
third.
So my thing is that's really what the Chiefs have needed to do. We've needed more pressure on other quarterbacks, and we needed to alleviate pressure off of ours. 100%. That's been one of the biggest problems for the Chiefs over the last few years. So, I mean, you keep throwing stuff at the wall and see what sticks with this.
Who would have ever thought just winning the trenches was a big thing?
Well, I mean, obviously that's football
It sounds
101,
so
right?
cliche, right? But it is seriously it. Protect your quarterback.
Well,
and
that's
go
the
get
thing,
theirs.
man. I think people underestimate how hard it is to hit a home run with a defensive lineman, an edge rusher, an offensive tackle, or something like that in the draft, right? It's
Especially
not
when you're
very
not picking
easy.
top 15.
Right, you're picking at the very end of the first round every freaking year.
Think about it.
And-
You wouldn't have got George Karlaftis if he wouldn't have just slipped for no reason whatsoever. George
Yeah,
Karlaftis
there's a
was
lot of
projected to be
teams
a
slapping
top 10
themselves
pick.
for that. There's a lot of teams slapping
Steve, that
themselves for that.
entire draft process, George Karlaftis was going in the top 3 to 5, and then
Yeah.
he started slipping to 15 with about 2 weeks to go. And then right before it come out, I got word that he may fall out of the first round. And I told you,
Which
I
is
said,
crazy.
no, he's never fallen past Kansas City. There's no way they can give up on an edge rusher right there at the end of the first round where they pick.
Not
and
of his
that's why I
caliber
chose
either,
to
yeah.
take him. And I think that they love it. The fact that
Yeah.
when people blunder, that's when the Chiefs get their best picks at the end of the first round. Was it a blunder, everybody overlooking Josh Simmons this year? Very well could be,
we're gonna
because this was
find
the
out.
only way you were going to get a big-time offensive tackle.
Right. If it wasn't for injuries, though, I don't think we've got a few people that we got, to be quite honest about it, because Josh Simmons would not have been there if it wasn't for that injury. Jalen Royals would not have been where he was at if it wasn't for the foot injury. Omar Norman Lott probably would have gone a little bit earlier if it wasn't
Yeah.
for a questionable knee. So, I mean, there were 3 guys there that we got because we're taking a chance on guys that were coming off of injuries. Now, that could be a double-edged sword, right? That could be something that bites you in the butt. But at
Yeah.
the same time, I think the ceiling they have and the potential they have is 100% worth the risk. And if Kansas City's, they're vetting these guys, right? If their medical staff is okay with it and they think it's okay, then I am too.
I heard there was a slight bit of a rumor going around about maybe Noel Williams as well, and that's why he fell a little bit. Some people said
who
that he could have
knows?
went in the third round. Speaking of Noel Williams, he got a pick today.
Yeah,
Noel
let's
Williams
go,
got a
baby.
pick today
Already.
in practice, and
Getting it
McDuffie got
started
one
right.
today. So look
Getting
at
it
that.
started right. Hey, they're
The
going to be
DB
fun to
showing
watch,
out
man.
today, baby.
Shout out Witchy, been a member for 9 months now. Says St. Joe Goats Arena team, now partially owned by the Kelsey brothers. Season starts this weekend. I saw something about that. I didn't even know that they had an arena team. I didn't even know that was a thing until I saw where the Kelseys bought into it or whatever.
The St. Joe
so
Goats.
that's definitely something that's going to be exciting, right? I didn't even know they had an arena team. Maybe it's because I'm not from there. I'm not around there a lot. but I had no idea.
The arena. I've seen the logo on X before. The little goat with the. He kind of looks like a. I don't know.
I don't
Kind
know.
of looks like
I'm a
Frank
Goats fan
Sinatra or
now.
something.
That's funny. Yeah, K. Wayne, Trey Smith was due to health concerns. Like, we've hit a lot of players over health concerns. I mean, even I know Justin Ross never panned out, but the only reason we had him is because he fell completely out of the draft with his neck. So, I mean, I think that Brett Veach and his management team and the people that help him, the scouts, medical staff, I think they do their due diligence on these kids that are scaring other people And if they look like they're going to be good, if there's, say, a 90% chance that that's not going to be a problem, I think they weigh their odds there. And I think that's how they've been able to manage to knock a lot of things out of the park in the draft so far. And I'm hoping this year's huge for us because, honestly, I think this draft class has potential to be one of the better ones. Probably the best one, obviously, since I think Leo Chanel and McDuffie and George Karlaftis and all them, that was a killer draft, right? And then you had the draft where you got Trey Smith, you got Creed Humphrey, I think, in the same draft there, and Nick Bolton. So that was a good draft. But other than that, man, I think this one's going to be right up there with them if everybody pans out and everybody stays healthy.
Right. Dude, I was just looking at the GOATs roster. I had to. Do you know wide receiver Boo Smith plays for them? Boo Smith played at Mizzou. He's from KC. Like, I didn't know he played for them. Is that the same Boo Smith? It has to be, right?
How many of those can there be?
Well, I mean, his real name was, I think, Deontay or something. So they called him Boo. And they've got it listed just Boo. So, I don't know. Let me click his name and see if he can bring a picture up.
That's funny.
Bro, I think it's him.
I'm sure it is. Yeah, it's the same guy.
He went to Raytown High School. That's awesome.
Yeah. G-Pick says Chiefs have an amazing scout team. And, I think that, but also when you start looking at like offensive line, how none of the guys are panning out, is it coaching? Is it scouting? So, I mean, it has come into question a little bit with some of the guys they've taken. If you go look back at Lucas Nyang, Darian Kennard, Kingsley, Wanya, you can throw them all in that if you want to. I think it's a little early to put Kingsley in that talk, but I mean, you have to wonder, is it coaching? Is it scouting? It's one of the two.
Yeah, I hear that. One of the big things is Andy Heck. Everybody's like, Andy Heck doesn't develop anybody. He can't develop. Andy Heck actually wrote, he talked about Josh Simmons today. Listen to what he had to say about Simmons. Take it as you will from Andy Heck. Like, some people don't think he's a good evaluator. But he says, the first thing you can see in Josh Simmons is his explosive nature. Everything he does is super quick. We're working on fine-tuning his technique. He's able to do individual work with certain limits. As we hone in on the technique, we don't want to take away from his athleticism. That's one of his A-plus strengths. And then he confirmed that he did come out of practice today fine. Like, so he practiced. He didn't injure nothing. Everything's good. Like, so he got his first action out there, and he says he's strong, he's fast, and everything's just quick. But his technique's a little off, Steve. And I think we talked about that in our offensive tackle rankings. I think he was our number... What was he, number 3 or number 4? But the reason we couldn't put him at number 1, and I think we had Banks out of Texas, I believe. Was that who it was? As our number 1, and then, of course, you had the kid from LSU. But we thought his technique was just a little weird. Sometimes he overset, and he would get beat inside a lot. So I think when the Chiefs can figure out that technique and get him just perfectly, he is very athletic, man. He's very well built to get out in the zone blocking scheme. I think Josh Simmons, he's got a shot to be really good here, barring he doesn't, he doesn't turn into one of those guys that just becomes like an injury case. And you'll see that a lot of times with draft picks on the offensive or defensive line. There's been plenty of guys on both sides of the line for the Chiefs throughout the years, going back 20, 30 years. You get a big guy and you think he's going to do good, and then injuries are kind of a problem throughout his career, and he can't really get it going. You kind of seen that from Turk Wharton a little bit, and then the first year he got healthy this year, he put up. So health's a big factor, man, and I think Andy and all them know that. That's why OTAs and stuff, they don't really push these dudes super, super hard.
Right. Yeah, man. I think Josh Simmons could be that guy if he can stay healthy, though. Patrick Mahomes even said he just looks the part. The way he moves, his size, strength, and everything. I think they could have definitely hit a home run with him for sure if he were to be able to avoid re-injury and to stay healthy, stay on the field, and just progress from what he is now even a little bit. Just take that step into the NFL. I think that'd be a solid pick for the Chiefs, man. That could be awesome. Nikki says, why don't you answer my question? I don't know if you're talking to us, but if you are, I didn't see a question, Nikki. Might want to put it back in the chat. That way I can see what it was, and we'll get you. But yeah, man, I think Josh Simmons could be it, man. He could be starting. Like you said, Jalen Moore. I think Jalen Moore was more of a no pun intended, but he was more of a like security blanket, just in case we can't get a guy in the draft. we can go with him. Now, like you said, maybe that was a bit of an overpay for a potential plan B. But at the same time, I don't know if it was a plan B as much as they just got really lucky with Simmons. And it also, they got lucky with Simmons, right? So now you have really good competition for that position going into the season. Whereas last year we thought there was going to be some competition with Kingsley and Wanye. It ended up not being any competition. It was literally handed to Kingsley on a silver platter, and he wasn't quite ready for that position there. So we'll see, man. I think it's going to be a good thing that they did get Jalen Moore, regardless of whether he starts or not.
Yeah. Hey, a big thing I wanted to talk about today, and I was reading through some Pete Sweeney stuff and different things because he was giving some takes on
Pete's
like
what?
His weenie. He was giving some takes on what he's seen out there from practice today. And one of the obvious things that I took out of what Pete was talking about was that Mahomes was very accurate in the short and the intermediate game. And then when it come to the deep ball again, Mahomes can't connect. There was no connect. I want to say today in 11 on 11, here it is. Mahomes nearly connects with Jalen Royals deep down the right sideline at the end of 11 on 11 period. The ball was in and out of his hands. It was a little bit overthrown. In and out of his hands, so off his fingertips. Problem, right? In 7 on 7, great intermediate accuracy. He connected with tight ends. He nearly hit a deep ball to Xavier Worthy just out of his reach. Again, he nearly hit a deep ball. He can't hit, like, the deep ball stuff has to get together this year. And this is 7 on 7. So for all the people that are like, well, he doesn't have time to throw it in the pocket. This is 7 on 7 drills, and he's still overthrowing receivers to air. So it's one of these things where it's like they got to get that hammered out. Because if you look down the board, what's he say? Gardner Minshew, deep ball down the left sideline, caught by Mac Delena. So they connected, and the second team connects. Brenningstool, a big one. Delena catches a 5-yard TD from Minshew on a quick slant. Looks like Mac Delena's out there balling out, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's all about getting the timing down, just getting everything on the same page, man. So I don't know. I wouldn't look too much into that. We'll see, though. But there has been some issues with that.
The issue is the deep ball. And we got to get it together.
But we did see a lot more of that last year, honestly, even with the slower offense. I think we saw a lot more deep balls that connected with Xavier Worthy last year than you think.
Is it
if you go back and watch
timing
some
or is it
Worthy highlights?
Is it timing or is it just something off with the routes from the receivers? And
it could be both.
Are the receivers just not catching the ball? Is Mahomes just not throwing it in the right spot? Like, what is going on there?
Mahomes tends to underthrow his deep balls.
Well, he's overthrowing them, so
lately.
maybe that's a positive sign.
Yeah, we'll see. They'll get it. Nikki says, I've heard that Brenningstool is smooth in his routes, but not explosive. What do you think? So, I don't know. It's as far as like a tight end goes, I guess he's decently explosive, like from the tape that I watched. If you kind of like look at the numbers, 40-yard dash, he's actually like a point, like a tenth of a second behind Travis Kelce's 40-yard dash coming out of college. I think Kelce was a 4.6. Brenningstool was a 4.7. But if you look at their 10-yard splits, Brenningstool was a 1.6 10-yard split to Travis Kelce's almost 1.8. So actually, I think Brenningstool might be a little more explosive or short area quickness than even Travis Kelce. But if you go watch his tape, Nikki, and I suggest you do that later on or something if you have some free time, just go watch some Jake Brenningstool highlights even. I know highlights are kind of misleading because you're only seeing the best of the best. But you'll get an idea of what he can do. And he is very smooth in his routes, and he's basically a big receiver. And I think at times he looks explosive, and he's very, very good at contested catches. So I think he's a pretty cool prospect, really. To get a UDFA like that, I think's a win.
Yeah, I think he's a guy that could end up on the practice squad. He may end up on the entire roster. Who knows? Just depends where Wiley is. But, yeah, I think he's very smooth. How explosive do people want tight ends to be? We didn't want Harold Fannin. There was an explosive guy. Like, he got passed up all the way to the 4th round or something like that. So not a lot of people were wanting that.
He wasn't your prototypical tight end, though, was he? Like,
right.
I liked Harold Fannin because he was a tight end. He wasn't that great at blocking, but he was a guy who get the ball in his hands, and he was like a running back. Like, you don't see a whole lot of tight ends the way that Harold Fannin, when he had the ball after catch, just the things
Yeah.
that he could do. So he was a very interesting one to me. Chief DeLorean with the 2-bomb says they coached the deep ball out of Mahomes. Honestly,
Dude, a lot of people think that.
honestly, I don't doubt that. And I think, I don't know if it was coached out of him or if it was him being in his own head. I think a lot of it came from a few years back, probably around that Bengals loss in the AFC Championship game, where teams started just copying each other. The high cover 2 shell defense, Mahomes couldn't throw it deep. He just couldn't do it. And he had to learn how to check down. He had to learn how to take what was given to him by the defense. And it took him a long time to do that. But when he was able to do that, he went on and won the Super Bowl. Literally running an offense where he was just taking what the defenses were giving him. So I think you're right. I think it was a little bit coached out of him. I also think it was taken away from him. And it's almost like he got out of that groove and he got into this mindset of being too gun shy. And I think when you're not taking the shots that you need to be taken, which he said he didn't. If you go watch the presser from like a few weeks back, Mahomes said, I've been giving defense too much credit. I've not been giving shots to my wide receivers. I've not been throwing balls I should have thrown. And Mike, we've seen it all season long. Game after game after game, we'd watch all 22, and there'd be somebody wide open down the field, and Mahomes just not throw the ball. He'd pump fake it and then run, or like something like that. It's like, I think a little bit was on him, and a little bit was on just defenses adjusting to what he was doing to him early in his career. So it's finding a fine line there, and knowing when to take your shots, and just giving your receivers the opportunities. And I think the more he does that, and the more they're taking deep shots, he'll get honed back in on that deep ball, I think.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's mental too. I think it's a mental thing. Sports, I think people overlook the mental aspect of sports. But in every sport, like go to golf, you'll see a guy like, say, remember like back when he was starting out, like Justin Rose, he was awesome. And then the dude got the shanks. He went from number 1 in the world, and then he couldn't even make a cut for like 10 years. People get in their heads. Go look at, like, say, Shaq, and look at his mental makeup when he played basketball.
Kevin Na, the golfer.
Right. But go look at Shaq and how every time he went on the court, he knew he was bigger, stronger than everybody, and he played like it. They would dump him the ball, and he would just bulldoze you and rip the rim down. And it was like he could not be stopped. He took that confidence with him all the time. Patrick Mahomes played like that at first. And then it's like he got in his head. Allen Iverson, he was a little guy, but look at how he played basketball. He was so confident. He got his shot. He done what he wanted. He's fearless. And Patrick Mahomes was fearless. Shaq was fearless. He knew what he was going to do, and he knew he was the biggest, baddest dude on the court, and he ripped the rims off. When you see players play timid, they start to decline. And Patrick Mahomes has started to play timid. And whether it was coached out of him, or like you said, Steve, it was brought on by a certain number of things, may just be brought on by his lack of protection, his lack of wide receiver talent. There's lots of things there, but you got to get that mental psyche back. Patrick Mahomes has to get back to that 2018 attitude where he's just like, look, I'm going to go out and I'm going to sling the ball, and I'm going to let my guys make a play, because he was just slinging it all over the yard to the Albert Wilsons of the world. Okay, if Albert Wilson can make plays, then believe me, Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, last year, D-Hop, all these guys would have made some plays. So you've got to get out of your head, and you got to throw the ball. Stop aiming it. Throw the ball.
It's easier said than done, too, once you get in that thing. I don't know if you mentioned 100%. It because I was reading comments, but Kevin Na, the golfer, he just all of a sudden couldn't swing the club. Do you remember? He was like, stop. It was like a hesitation. It just got in his head. That happens with athletes all the time, man. It just does. So hopefully Mahomes can get over that. And I think a lot of that came from...
Do you think he sees a sports psychologist? You think he sees somebody like that?
I think he should. Maybe that could be beneficial. You think? But no, I mean, honestly, it's just all about getting out of your own head and just getting out there and slinging the ball around, having some fun. Get back to having fun. There's been a lot of pressure on the Chiefs, with a 3-peat run, constantly comparing Patrick Mahomes to Tom Brady. Is he going to be able to do this or do that? I don't know. I just think it's a little bit in his head. He can get out of that, though. It's just all going to be about, you have to think, man, he also had receivers like Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, MVS. Even when he was throwing the deep ball to MVS, he was dropping them over and over again. And it's just like, that gets kind of frustrating as well. It kind of makes you stop taking shots, right? But yeah, I think he can get back to it. It's going to help if he can rely
Steve,
on his weapons out there.
It's
right?
about having fun, like you said. It's about having fun, getting out of your head. You'll see him all the time completing these no looks behind the backs in practice. That's hard to do, and he'll sit there and complete it because he's just goofing around having fun. We've seen him at the end of practice drop a 50-yard bomb into a trash can in the back corner of the end zone 2 or 3 times in a row, and hit a goalpost from 50 yards out 2 or 3 times in a row. But then he can't hit a Xavier Worthy wide open up the sideline 40 yards out because he overthrows it by 7 yards. And it's like Xavier Worthy's a lot more catchable than a trash can that don't move in the back. That's Sky Moore. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sky. Sky took a stray. I'm not going to say he's a trash can.
Jake in the chat, I don't know why I can't talk, says, you first say he restructured his game, taking checkdowns and giving what the defense gives him. Then say he's too timid. I don't agree. You have to work with what you got. Now we are structured around a speed crew. So, I mean, yes and no. I mean, I think the defense took away what Patrick Mahomes was good at. You see it with every quarterback early in their career. Mahomes was blowing the tops off of defenses, throwing 65-yard touchdown bombs, just doing ridiculous stuff. And that was his first season as a starter. And then all of a sudden, it's like, how can we counter that? You see the same thing with C.J. Stroud this season. He didn't do nearly what he did his rookie season. You're going to see it again this year with Jaden Daniels, more than likely. He's not going to do what he did his rookie season. And it's always because defenses start to figure you out a little bit. And, yeah, it's about the weapons that you have around you. And I think it was a smart thing for Patrick Mahomes to realize what he has and what to work with and how to use it. And the thing about it is there was a big gap between Patrick Mahomes actually learning that and doing it. There was a big section of Chiefs football there where it was a nightmare with those cover 2 defenses, and he still kept trying to force the ball down the field, just throwing picks, and it was ugly. And then finally, it's like something clicked, and it's like he started taking the check downs, he started taking what the defense was giving him. And I think that's when they went on to win the Super Bowl against the Eagles the first time with that terrible wide receiver core he had.
Yeah, I'm with you. There's a lot of different factors that go into it, but yeah, a lot of it was just. I don't think it was necessarily coached out of him. The coaching out was just like, hey, you've got to take what the defense gives you, right? That's the coaching part. But I don't think they messed with
that's
his
just being
mechanics
smart,
or anything.
right? Yeah, exactly. I just think it's one of those things, though, when you get into that rhythm and that's how you have to move the football, you're just not. It's like anything else in life. If you stop doing it for a long period of time, you're not going to be as good at it. Like, I mean, it sounds stupid. It sounds very basic, but if you're not taking the shots, eventually, you're not going to be as good as you were. It's just something that's got to work its way back in. And a lot of it's about trusting your receivers and stuff as well. So I think he's going to be just fine there. Peter Ortiz with the freaking 25 bomb. Let's go, Peter. Let's go, baby.
Thanks,
Appreciate you. Says on Andy, he has to let Patrick unleash the long ball and have more control of his offensive team. So I would agree with half of the statement, Peter. I think, like, if you even go back, and this, of course, this was before the Hollywood injury and the Rashee Rice injury from last season, but apparently Andy Reid's been on Patrick Mahomes' ass to throw the ball down the field. Like, the entire camp from before last season was literally Andy Reid telling Patrick Mahomes to throw the freaking ball down the field, move the ball down the field. It was like a repeated theme where he was trying to tell Mahomes, take the shots, take the deep ball. So I don't know if it's, maybe where Andy kind of saw what we saw as fans, where it's like Mahomes kind of gotten that, I have to take what the defense is giving me. I have to be too conservative. And Andy was trying to get that out of him then. But I think Andy's on board with it. Andy's all about the big play. So I think it's all about getting the protection in place and then Mahomes trusting his receivers. But I do agree. I think that Mahomes needs to take more control of the offense. And we've said that a few times on this show. I think Mahomes needs to command his offense in a way that Tom Brady commanded his offense. I think sometimes what you see on the field is a little bit different than what they're seeing on the sidelines and what they're seeing up in the booth. And I think there's times where Mahomes can make the right call. And I think he just has to be able to take charge and do that, whether it's, hot routes, whether it's complete obbling out of a play, whatever he needs to do, or if it's completely go rogue and just make up a play in the huddle. You've seen that. People used to do that all the time. I think go back and watch some Steve Young stuff and different players like that. They would just go completely off script. So, and we saw that in the 13-second game with Buffalo. Him and Kelsey literally just were on the same page. It was like, hey, this is what we're going to do, and they did it, right? I think there needs to be more of that. A lot of times when you're watching the games, you'll see Patrick Mahomes getting frustrated. He's always trying to get a play call in. That's why he's got his little finger thing going, like, hurry up, get me the play call. You'll see him getting frustrated over and over again with play calls. I just think there's a point in your career, and, Mahomes being 9 seasons deep now, I think you can step up and take control more, and I think Andy would be okay with that too if he's making the right call.
I mean, I'm with you. Like, what does he actually do and what does he not? It's tough to decipher, but it doesn't look like he audibles much. I don't know if he's got that. I wouldn't think Andy,
and we've said that though. It's crazy
I don't think
to see.
Andy like takes it out of his hand. Like, he's not smart enough to do it. Mahomes knows this offense inside and out.
Right.
So it's almost just the way they want it done, and they want it done their way, and they don't want to give Pat the flexibility. Now they used to do that a lot on his RPO stuff, but over the past 2 years, the RPOs kind of went away. We run RPO, but it's nowhere near as much as they were running it 3 and 4 years ago. Like last year and the year before, it had kind of hampered down a little bit.
You saw it a lot more when Clyde was running the ball.
Right. I don't know if it was personnel or what, but so the RPO, you take that out, and of course Patrick wants to pass the ball as quarterback, but he would make decent decisions, and we put a lot of defenses on roller skates out there with that RPO, and we've kind of got away from that. I wish they'd get back to it maybe a little more. But the RPO, the biggest thing with an RPO is your deep ball. That's your biggest weakness. So if they're wanting to get back to throwing the deep ball, they're not going to run the RPO as much. And so I think that may be why they got away from it last year, because Andy wanted to press the ball down the field. I just don't think we had the personnel to do it. I really don't.
Yeah. If there's one thing I'd like to see Mahomes do more, it would just be hot routes.
Do you want him to?
You never see that
like
happen.
A Peyton Manning type QB that comes to the line, calls out everything, picks the play from the line. And
not
just
every
eats a
play,
defense
but
up.
I would love to see. There's several times, Mike, as fans, and our football knowledge is limited. We are literally on the couch watching guys that do this professionally, right?
Right.
Like these offensive coordinators that we critique, these coaches we critique, these players we critique, they are the top level of the game.
Yeah, they know a lot.
But just with our limited football knowledge, there were several plays last year where it was like you knew what the defense thought was coming. You knew what was going to happen, and you knew they could hot route. Just do this, do that. And it would have been so simple and effective, and you never once saw it happen. Like it was always, when you knew a play was about to get blown up, they would play right into the hands of the defense every freaking time. And I know if we can see it from the couch, Patrick Mahomes sees it from behind center. He's one of the smartest QBs there are. And that's the disconnect for me. Like, why is that a thing? And why
Andy's
are
always
you
kind
not?
of been like that, though. How many times did he get in his own little? He'd get in his own little rhythm to where they would literally run on second down almost every time. That's the only time he'd hand the ball off was second down.
It's so predictable. It was
He
unreal.
would do that over and over and over. I'm talking for like games at a time. You'd be like, second and 7, here comes the run.
Yeah.
And it was a halfback delay up the
Every time. There was always a delayed handoff. Appreciate the 25, Peter. We got
Appreciate
a two-bomb from Sammy. Says, agree with you, Mike. Mahomes needs confidence. I think I agree with that, too. I think the only way that he's going to get confidence is to give his receivers the chances to make plays. And if they make the plays, Mahomes gets confidence in them and in himself.
Steve, he needs confidence
that's all
in individual games as well. I'm talking in your first 10 to 15 scripted plays, there needs to be some confidence building there. There needs to be some rhyme or reason to what they're calling, not this all over the place crap. Get him some quick passes. Get his confidence going. Get him a couple inside slants. Just get him connecting the ball and completing the ball early. But how many times last year would you see just like the wildest, most incoherent first 15 you've ever seen? Or it would be 3rd and 2 and we'd try to take a 40-yard bomb down the field and punt. Like, we would do that several times. It was like, it just felt forced. It felt forced.
Jake says Reed's offense is known for its ability to adapt and evolve throughout the season with new wrinkles and plays being added as needed. And that's true. Andy's always been known for that. But I feel like this last season, and in particular, like in games, there were not very many good adjustments. I mean, you saw it in the Super Bowl. There was no adjustment. It was, hey, you're beating the hell out of us like this. Let's continue to do it for the next 3 quarters and see how that goes. But yeah, I think that's one thing. G Pick says, let's not become Eagles fans and kick Andy out of our city. I don't think you have to worry about that one, G Pick. He didn't have 3 Super Bowls with the Eagles, and Eagles fans are slap nuts.
No, but I think a lot of Andy's critique with the Eagles and everything was valid. He didn't adjust in game very well. There were some clock control issues there, clock management. He's got a lot better here. He wouldn't run the ball in certain situations. We've seen that come to fruition in the Super Bowl.
They were valid, but I think they were like so. Philadelphia
I think they
fans,
just needed a change of pace at the time.
Yeah, well, Philadelphia fans also like they're so nearsighted. Like they're still flag was fly. We blew out the Super Bowl. It's like, bro,
Steve, if you took a poll right now in the city of Philadelphia, and you said who was the better coach in Philly, Andy Reid or Dick Sirianni? You think Sirianni would win that
Doug
poll?
Peterson? No. I mean, right now they would because they're so stupid. They're very dumb, ignorant fans. And I'll say that over and over again.
I bet you anything,
I'll say it. I said it on my short.
I
said a Chiefs fan say that I shouldn't say that. That they're not like that and that they beat our ass in the Super Bowl and we shouldn't say things like that. No. I'm sorry. Yes, they beat our ass in the Super Bowl. But I can also say that their fans are pretty ignorant. Like, they're very, very short-sighted.
Dude, they're a horrible fan base.
Doug Peterson took them to a Super Bowl and won it with a backup QB, and they ran him out of the city a year later. Like, literally, if they don't get that instant gratification, if Nick Sirianni turns around and doesn't win another Super Bowl in the next 3 years, he'll be gone. I'd almost bet it.
Man, do you kind of hope Sirianni has an implosion season this year and they win like 5 games?
Dude, I'm telling you, the Eagles coming off of that high, blowing out 2 teams, NFC Championship and the Super Bowl, and they've lost a lot of those key players. Like, they still got Saquon. They still got, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. Look at the defensive side of the ball. They lost Milton Williams. They've lost Huff now. There's been a few guys gone off that defense. I definitely think that they could be the ones that have the Super Bowl hangover. Like, a lot of people think it's the people that lose the Super Bowl never get back. It never happens. I'm telling you, I could see the Eagles. What happened last time? They lost the Super Bowl. They turned around and didn't even make the playoffs. Did they, or barely made the playoffs? I could see that happening again to them. I really can.
I don't know. Philly. Look, I know a lot of personal Philly fans, and they're decent people.
Well, they're not from Philadelphia. They're in
Philadelphia, yes, those people are wild. So
yeah.
It is what it is. They're always known as the worst fan base. So.
For sure. Hey, appreciate you guys being with us tonight. We're going to be on for a few more minutes. So if you have any questions, make sure to get those in the chat. We'll try to get to you. Appreciate you guys being here. Do us a favor. Hit the like button if you haven't already. It helps us out. Also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, go ahead and do that now. It's going to be a fun off season going through camp. And then, of course, this coming season is going to be killer.
We just crossed 45K today, Steve.
We just crossed 45K. We're on our way to 50K. We're going to explode this season, guys. So we want you guys to be there along the ride. So hit that subscribe button. Mike, I'm feeling it, man. We're going to go crazy this season. So we're going to start it now. So why not? Appreciate you guys. Also, share us with your friends or share us on social media, whatever you want to do. Just help get the word out. That'd be much appreciated. But yeah, man, I'm super excited about this year. Eagles fans are slapnuts. Mahomes can get out of his own head. We have a better receiving core than we've ever had, in my opinion. The defense is improving. Yeah, we lost Justin Reed. I think it's kind of a shot. But, I mean, getting Mike Edwards, I think, kind of fills that void just a bit, having a veteran back there. He also plays similar. So, and he's a ball hawk. So that's another good thing.
You think Mike Edwards is going to start?
Yeah, I think so, potentially.
So Jaden Hicks isn't starting.
He could, but I also think Brian Cook's got a lot to show this year. This is a huge year for Brian Cook. Because to be honest, last year,
a lot of people saying that Brian Cook could fill the Justin Reed role. Do you think that could be a thing?
No. I haven't seen it yet. But, I mean, this last season, to be fair,
I don't think Brian Cook's fast and quick enough. Justin Reed wasn't the fastest guy ever, but he was okay in coverage.
He was okay in coverage, and now I think Brian Cook could maybe play in or around the box a lot and do a lot of good things.
I don't think I could see him lining up over a slot receiver or something.
I just don't know about it.
I
he
could
got
be
cooked
wrong.
A lot last year, no pun intended. But Mike Edwards, man, he's a ball hawk kind of guy. He likes to turn the ball over. You got Noel Williams coming in, who's known as a ball hawk, likes to turn the ball over. Jaden Hicks plays that way. I kind of see a trend the way that they're going with this defense. I think
Yeah, they're
they're
wanting
tired
some
of
ball
losing.
hawks.
They're tired of losing the turnover battle. That's been a big thing with this Chiefs team all throughout the dynasty. Like, they're killing it. They're winning like crazy, but they always lose them turnover battles 9 out of 10 times. So how good could these teams have been if they were winning those 9 out of 10 times? That's big momentum changes in games and point swings and everything else. So I think they definitely want to make a focus on turning the ball over this year. I think that's apparent with the personnel they're putting in there.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited to see who the 10 they take. I think they're going to take 10 DBs. And when I say that, it's corners, safeties, they're just going to lump them together as 10. I'm excited to see who they take. I think it's going to be a very solid 10.
Yeah. The Guru says, please don't Mike Caliendo at left guard. I'd love a roster replacement versus Caliendo, but who else can play center? So, Mike Caliendo, here's my thing with it. Is Mike Caliendo fantastic? Is he a surefire 100% starter in the NFL? Maybe not. You can argue that. But at the same time, what Mike Caliendo did for us as a freaking UDFA cannot be understated. I think it is unfair for everybody to go at Mike Caliendo's throat the way they have. Because if it wasn't for Mike Caliendo and Joe Tooney doing what they did last year, we wouldn't even have been in the Super Bowl. So I think people need to lay off Caliendo a little bit. And I actually think he's better than people give him credit for. I also think Andy Reid likes him, or else he wouldn't always be in the conversation for starting at left guard. But I know what you're saying, Guru. A lot of people don't want to see him there for whatever reasons. And he can play center. He's a backup center. But so is Hunter Norzad. So we do have him too. And to me, Norzad's a guy that's like not a lock on this roster whatsoever. Him, CJ Hansen, some of those guys that they drafted last year as depth. I don't know. But yeah, Mike Caliendo kind of can do a couple things for you. He's in the vein of Nick Allegretti. He's not as good as Allegretti, but he's kind of like him. He's like that guy that can just come in and help you out in a pinch. And that's kind of what he did, to be quite honest about it.
Yeah, I think Caliendo, I think everybody just forgets that Caliendo was a UDFA. He wasn't supposed to make the team. He does. He goes to the practice squad. I mean, there's a lot to like about Caliendo. He's still relatively young.
Like 27, I think.
Yeah, but I just mean young as in a football guy. Like, he's not got a lot of opportunity. I will say this. Let's go back and let's look at Joe Tooney in 2023, okay? And let's look at Caliendo in 2024. And I'm going to look from let's look from week 15, 16, 17, and then the 3 games in the playoffs. Okay, so Caliendo this season had 3 hits on the QB, 2 sacks allowed, and 10 hurries.
Okay.
15 pressures. So that's what he had. So 15 pressures, 10 hurries, 3 hits, 2 sacks. And that was from week 15 to the Super Bowl. If you go back last year, Joe Tooney, week 15 to the Super Bowl, he had 0 sacks, 3 hits, 10 pressures. 10 hurries. I'm sorry. And 2, 4, 5, 9, 10 pressures. So 10 pressures, 9 hurries. My bad. 10 pressures, 9 hurries, 2 hits, and no sacks. So, I mean, all Caliendo really led up there was 5 more pressures and 2 more sacks. And I know that's people's gonna be like, well, that's a big deal. That's a big deal.
But Joe Tooney's top of the
Joe Tooney is
line,
a Pro Bowl, like
All Pro.
Hall of Famer, and Caliendo is like coming off the practice squad and having to fill in like a big pinch. So I think like you got to tamper expectations a little bit. I think if Andy Reid sees something enough to let him battle it out, I can't argue that. And I'll be damned if I'm going to try to go against Andy Reid, like a lot of these people out here try to come out here and convince you that whatever reasons there was, like that was the biggest scam y'all have ever bought into out there last year.
Was the running game got bad when they moved all that? Yeah.
Yeah, that was just a top-notch scam job y'all got bought into. And
Jacob says he thinks Kingsley could still be a badass guard. I agree. I can't wait to see what he can do there, man. Kingsley's a fantastic athlete, and he's got a lot of potential. Obviously, it wasn't ideal how things started out for him in his career with the Chiefs. Don't think he was put in the best position. Also, don't think he was maybe prematurely was pulled and maybe killed his confidence a little bit. But I think that Kingsley can be a solid guard for sure, 100%. And yeah, Caliendo is a lot smaller than Nick Allegretti, Sam. Absolutely. I just meant they are similar in the fact that you can plug and place them and they can do a bang up job for you, kind of keep you in the game. What are you laughing about over there?
Man, I'm going to show you after. You're going to enjoy it. I'm just going to tell you that.
We're going to have some fun, huh?
Yeah, we're going to have a
five
lot
bomb
of fun
from
with
our
this
boy
one.
Peter. Let's go, Peter. Killing it today. Appreciate you, brother. September 13th is a day of reckoning. We must beat the Eagles. It will set the tempo for the season. Well, I see you there. I would love to be there. That'd be awesome. That's a massive game. I think, to me, more than anything, it's a game of dignity. If you want to keep your self-respect after that ass whooping you took in the Super Bowl because you decided not to show up and put in any effort, this is a game where you get that back. Like this, I'm with you. I think it sets a tone for the season. You don't want to go out there and get absolutely mopped again by the same team.
You think
on your opening night?
You think Andy though will have them so even killed and just like, it's not a big deal. Don't get worked up over it. Could you see him coming out a little flat again, and then the Eagles winning again, and then everybody having to deal with this again? Like, could you see that being a possibility? Because with Andy, he never gets these guys super fired up. They're very even killed.
Yeah,
you see it a lot.
Yeah,
remember when the Bengals would talk trash, right? And then we'd come out and look like we didn't even want to be there.
Flat.
And the Bengals are playing a playoff game
happened.
week 14.
That happened a lot. Appreciate the 5, Peter. Once again, appreciate you guys being here tonight. Do us a favor, hit that like button on the way out if you haven't already. Me and Mike's going to work on some more content for you. Look for it to drop tomorrow, and probably some shorts and stuff too, trying to get as much content out to you guys as possible. So do us a favor, watch all those front to back, hit that like button, get in the comment section, help your boys out, help those videos get and stay in the algorithm. All that would be greatly appreciated.
Hey,
and
the
we'll
number
see
one
you-
thing that we're trying to figure out, Steve, about those videos is we want you guys to comment. We're running a thing. Me and Steve's got this bet going, like an internal bet. Like, what causes videos to do better than other videos? And we think it could be comments. So the next time we throw up a video, everybody just take a second, comment. I don't care if you just say, Chiefs, this video sucks.
I think it's all
I don't
about
care
you
what you
clicking
say.
it. I think it's about when we put out a video,
Click
if
it
you guys
and
click it and
comment.
watch it. If
Should
you
we
guys
just,
click it and watch
we'll
it.
double see it. Click it and comment.
Yeah, well, we'll see you guys next time. Go Chiefs, baby.
Go Chiefs.
Get wild.